Are you someone really nom-nomming on a dick?
Is that what it, is that what eating a dick sounds like and looks like? I didn't know that. Actually, I was a Labrador who just licked up a bunch of peanut butter.
Oh no!
But
I ruined
nope.
it.
Now I'm a peanut butter.
That's not what a Labrador sounds like.
I'm a peanut butter Labrador who realized it's never been peanut butter. It's always been this kid's dick. Because there are kids out there who used to make their Labradors lick peanut butter off their dicks.
No, I don't like it.
That's Caitlin Cook. What she does is takes something fun and innocent and reminds you that the world is full of pain and darkness.
That's Sean Patton. He twists your words to make you feel like you did something wrong, even though he made a very sexual sound.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Now you see, as the listeners, how we, the co-hosts of this podcast, actually view one another.
Yep, there you go. And you're listening to 5 Words the podcast. This is the podcast.
Yep.
It's the podcast.
Yeah,
it's the podcast
one.
where we have on a guest
one.
who is going to tell us a story. But before they tell us the story, they tell us 5 key words from the story, and we try and take that and figure out what the story is based on what we know about our guest and those 5 words. And we're always right. We nail it every single time.
It's a pretty great explanation.
And then they tell us the real story, which is always redundant because it's the same thing we just said.
Well, and this week we were like, hey, we haven't had a guest on in a while who's done late night television a dozen times.
Well, we haven't had a guest on in a while because we missed a week due to some technical difficulties.
Only one week.
Very sorry, but we will be here with you every Tuesday morning from here on out.
We missed 1 week. We played hooky.
We played.
If you're mad at us, that means you love us. See?
There were some power outages.
There were some issues, but we're over them now. And if you're pissed, it's because you love us. So you got to stop letting your anger be your love, which it turns itself into. That's me twisting words to make our audience feel a certain way.
But we did realize that we hadn't had on a guest in a while that had a ton of late night spots. So we gave you Pete Lee.
Pete Lee. Peter Lee. He doesn't. And his birth name is Pete, not Peter.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm just making that up. But
it's a good episode, though.
It's a real fun episode.
We talk about pedophiles and stalking.
Oh shit! We do talk about all these things.
But it's fun. It's funny.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And Pete's a really, really good. If you've never seen him live before, and you probably can't see him live right now, just look him up. He's got a shitload of late night credits. He did Fallon I think 27 times in the past 18 months. Something around there. It's a lot. It was. But he's very, very, very fucking funny and a really awesomely sweet dude. And
and this is a good episode.
It's a fun one.
We'll just let you get into it.
And before that, if you're listening now, today, September 1st, right? If you were in the Asheville, North Carolina area.
Yeah, we're finally touring. Socially distanced, mask required, outdoors, but we are finally doing some shows outside of New York.
With the one and only Cypher Sounds and the one and only Will Sylvance. Both have also been guests on the pod. Check them out.
Yep.
Go to my Instagram profile and there's the ticket link. Or
go to mine.
Or go to Caitlin's. But that's what the ticket link is. Like she said, 6 feet apart, outdoor space. Mask required, but going to be awesome shows.
So we'll haven't been to Asheville. And then the following weekend, we will be in Cincinnati, Ohio.
At the one and only
Go Bananas Comedy Club.
Yeah.
So anyway, go look up those tickets. We'd love to see you. And please enjoy Pete Lee.
Yay. Like a Labrador's and join this penis.
Stop it. I don't like
it. What if he's a gay lab? He might like penises.
Not human penises.
I didn't say he was. I guess I did say he was not. Okay, well, this is.
No more bestiality. There's no more in this episode.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Because we've been recording this whole time.
We've been recording this whole time. We can actually do a montage of trying to connect. Do you feel like with every single phone call, like you're getting on your Bluetooth and you're like, hold on. Every phone call starts with, hold on, wait, just a sec. Are you there? Hold on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Like it would, for me, it starts with me being like, hey, I'm going to put my headphones in. And then you can keep talking for a while. They're very tangled. And then like, okay, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, like if real life interactions were anything like Zoom calls and like Skype and FaceTime calls, it would just be a lot of like person to person, just like, oh wait,
Someone
okay,
just has a
you can hear me, right?
no
Like
one,
looking directly in your eyes, you can hear me, right?
and no one's wearing
Every single start to every Zoom call and phone call in COVID is the exact same as when the Weather Channel reporter starts reporting during the hurricane. Like, I was watching the Hurricane Laura coverage, and they'd be like, "Hold on, I'm getting in place. There's debris flying, so I have to stand closer to the camera. Hold on, wait, are you there? Can you hear me, guys? All right, great. Now we're rolling."
Yeah.
That's every Zoom call or anything with Bluetooth.
Wait, Caitlin, a joke got rolled over because I don't think either one of us heard it. Caitlin, did you say in real life, if it was like Zoom or FaceTime, no one would have pants on?
Yeah, I was thinking someone to do a sketch where it's Zoom but in real life, and people are just breaking up and saying, "Hold on," but no one's wearing pants, so they're having.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Just we're so used to not wearing pants during conversations
I'm
that
not wearing pants. Like, I'm wearing a pair of boxers right now.
I love that. So I had that call before our podcast, and then right before that call, I just got out of the ocean because I was surfing, and so I'm still in wet, soggy swim trunks, basically.
You're calling it the wet, soggy swim trunks.
Yeah.
That's our wet, soggy swim trunks. There we go.
Is that the name of the episode?
Yes, that's the name of this episode. It's not 68 Pete Lee. It's wet, soggy swim trunks.
Wet, soggy swim trunks. We live at the ocean now in Bragg. And so we literally walk down to the ocean and surf, and then we walk back up. It's cool.
Wait, the last time we talked to you, you were living in someone's guest or pool house or something.
Yeah. Jamie works as a psych nurse practitioner, and she does shifts out at a hospital near Big Bear, is what I'll say. And so when we go out there, I just kind of go out there and hang out with her while she's doing her shifts and stuff, because I just don't want her to be lonely out there for a whole weekend. And so we stay in our friend's pool house, which her pool house is nicer than any home that I've ever lived in, including the one that I'm in right now.
Right. This is just for the listeners. So just, yes, you heard it right. Pete Lee got out of the ocean from surfing to get on a Hollywood business call and then to do this podcast. This is the level of guest we have.
Yeah.
Full calendars.
Yeah, I was like, I need to get out of the ocean to go talk to CAA about a potential TV deal.
Yeah, there it is. Look, I would take the call in the ocean if it were UTA, but for CAA, I'll get out of the.
For UTA, I would drip dry.
For WME, I would just tell them to put it on speaker.
Yeah.
That's and I mean, I understand you did a lot of surfing growing up in Wisconsin, right?
Oh, yeah, tons. The ocean just lapped right up to my front door in Janesville, Wisconsin growing up. We were so oceanside. I just really started getting into surfing hardcore last year when I got aboard. And when I say hardcore, I mean, I'm not a good surfer. Becky Robinson, the comedian, and I started a surf club out here with comedians, and our surf club is named Chernobyl Surf Club. And the whole reason why we call it Chernobyl Surf Club is because it's the biggest disaster.
And it will reverberate for decades.
For decades.
It will affect families for decades.
We actually, let me see if I can show you the logo. So that's the logo to our surf club.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. So the surfer is riding the mushroom cloud wave.
Yeah. That's the only thing I get jealous of LA comics. It's like LA comics get together and like, hey, let's surf, or let's start a hiking, a mountain climbing, parasailing club. And New York comics were like, you want to have pizza club? You guys want to meet up and, I don't know, eat or drink ourselves into a stupor?
We were definitely all in the three of us were definitely all in a stand comedy club whiskey club. It was Chernobyl Whiskey Club is what we were in.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to do the 10,000 steps, walk 10,000 steps a day club? And yeah, it just turns into a pub crawl though. We just end up stopping and getting shit-faced along the way. You're like, hey, you guys, hey, California, you guys want to start an avocado yoga self-awareness hike? and then we'll end it by skimboarding across some pristine lake near Big Bear, and we're like, you guys want to fucking eat ramen, drink $2 IPA, and then just shit on each other
on the sidewalk, because that's where people are shitting anyway in New York. Yeah. Out here we're starting.
Wait, hold on, Caitlin, we can't hear you at all.
Really?
At all? Yeah.
No.
Like,
And
yeah.
Sean and I are feminists, and we're not in any way silencing women. We're not about that.
Yeah, right. This is this bull. I mean, we can hear you, but it's like, I feel like you really have to talk into your mic, or just.
Okay. I mean, you can hear me though?
We can hear you, but like when you're sitting back and talking, like just talking casually. I mean, yeah, I don't think you have to get up on the computer, but I think, yeah, like you were just saying something, and now the one of us can hear what you were saying.
Okay.
What were you saying?
I was just saying that I want to start a bunch of clubs now.
Right? Yeah.
I want to, but a fun one where we're drinking and biking, which is not safe, but it's really fun, and looking at dogs and dog parks.
Oh, I love that. I would, I love dogs so much. There's these two dogs that live, by the way, is that a Comedy Cellar Vegas glass that you're drinking out of?
Yeah, we got like 10 of them here.
Oh,
yeah.
I love those glasses.
Every time I did it, I took 2 home every time.
I wish I would have done that, because now I was like, oh, well, I'll be back there in March.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nope.
By the way, I love Caitlin's like a whiskey drinking, looking at dogs, and bicycling club, which is like, so all of your clubs are 2 things that are great and 1 thing that's just not safe or cool for the community. It's like, so we're gonna
Prospect Park. You wouldn't have to be around cars.
I like that. I just like the idea of that's the club where it's like, we're gonna do a weed smoking, poetry reading, and public masturbation club. We're gonna do a social like a social awareness, financial informative knife fight rooftop club every day. So we're going to talk about how to be more socially aware in your community, how to manage your finances, and also how to slit a jugular.
It's only a certain percentage of the time that we're slitting the jugular, actually. So we don't heavy up on the jugular. That's like a treat.
That is a treat.
That's just a part of the treat.
Wait, what? So, do you, Pete, as someone from Wisconsin, because I mean, this whole situation in Kenosha is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah.
It's here's the thing, like, I don't know what you guys what your social media presence has been like regarding, this type of thing, but I struggle with it because most of my content is just happy, and I would say that it's not like activist bumper sticker content is what I would like to call it.
That's actually a great phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I care about this situation deeply. I've made multiple donations to Black Lives Matter, to the ACLU, to the ADL, I've been trying to just to like put my money where my mouth is. And I've made a few posts, but it's crazy. Like, when you make a post, I lose so many followers. People go, we're not here for the political stuff. And then when I don't make posts, then I get tons of messages from people going, you have a platform, you're from Wisconsin, you should be using this. So I'm torn as to what to do. And yesterday or 2 days ago, I tried to make a happy post out of it. I noticed that the mayor of Kenosha was doing a newscast, and then he had on a black suit, and he had the most dog hair on his suit. So I was like, of course the mayor of Kenosha, Wisconsin has the most dog hair all over his suit. So I tried to make a pretty neutral post about it. Obviously, Black Lives Matter. Obviously, It's fucking crazy what's happening to Black people in this country. I'm against the mistreatment, the murdering of Black people.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I really struggle with how to post about that and have it go along with the general tone of my accounts. I don't. Which, I mean, even me saying that might infuriate people.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I can tell you, I can say this. Like in June, when stuff really started popping off, I was doing a lot of, retweeting of activists I thought had a better grip on the thing and anything than I did. A lot of, retweeting of videos of cops being brutal and brutality, and trying to like highlight as many Black voices or voices of color from people on Twitter who were saying shit that I agreed with. And then, of course, peppering in my own opinions on how brutality and treatment of Black people is fucking awful in this country, as you're saying. And I lost, in the first few weeks, I lost like 200 followers-ish. And here's real quick thing, because I'd like to highlight this, because there are these like social media fucks who love to point out that like, why are you even paying attention to how many followers you have? Because I'm on social fucking media. Anyone who's on social media and pretends like they aren't constantly aware of the amount of followers they have is lying. You are lying if you think that anyone you're lying to yourself and to anyone if you're like, nope, I don't even notice how many followers I have. That's why I'm on the shit constantly posting a ridiculous amount. It's stupid. Like, no, you're aware. But
I don't even keep track. Not on a nightly basis. I don't go in and click on insights so I can see the exact number and see it where it shows me a graph of how many followers I've lost that day. I don't look at it at all.
Exactly.
Like when people say that you're posting for attention or clout or whatever, and you're like, yeah, everybody is. Like people that are trying to raise awareness about an issue are posting that for attention on that issue. Like everyone is posting for people to see it.
Anyone who says they're on social media for themselves is full of, their eyes should be brown and they should be sprouting fucking actual weeds and flowers from their head because they're that full of shit that their brain is fertilizer. It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. And
offended on behalf of brown-eyed
people. I'm offended on behalf of shitheads. Even though I like the idea that your brain is so full of shit that it's become fertilizer. Because we all should have fertilizers for brains, but we should. Okay, we're all full of shit, but grow the right type of shit in your memory. Grow the right plants in your memory, in your brain garden. How about that? That's what I'm saying. These people are growing lying plants. Like their plants it's bullshit. Like saying, why are you paying attention? Post. It's like, no, you have a presence as a comedian. You have to monitor it. But you have to be careful. But yes, you also have to use it. And that's what I was saying. Like I lost like 200 something followers. I was like, well, I guess this is just going to be what it is. But then eventually there was just this turnaround where it was like people then I started gaining followers. And then it was like, oh, okay, maybe you have to shake some fucking people off. And someone sees that and they're like, oh, we should be listening to what this person's saying. We agree with them. And they have a point. Or because I also started interacting with a lot of people who would just be like, why are you so, because that's the problem right now is there is no good, there is no evil, there is no, I mean, there is black and white skin color, but in terms of like what's going on in this country on a metaphorical sense, there's no black or white. There's a lot of racist fucks who we look at, who we don't realize their racism stems from a misunderstanding situation. Like they honestly think that the left or that we're all just we drink the blood of children after we fuck them and we worship Satan and we just want to burn the whole goddamn country down. It's like, that's not true. Just like it's also not true that that your average fucking Joe and Jane in the middle of the country with their 3 kids want to cage up homosexuals and start slavery all over. It's like it's two sides who want the same thing. We all kind of want unity, open-mindedness, and freedom of expression and equality for everyone, but we're being lied to by, you know what I mean? We're being fed bullshit by the powers that be so that we stay fighting. So
and we're also, we're also being fed a lie that that everyone's over here, or everyone's either over here or
Yeah.
over here. And I've actually looked at the numbers of it, like Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, all those guys on what I would say is the near far right. There's a further right than them, and we've seen it, and we've seen stuff like that. But so over here they have what
I like to call them the broken boomerang, because you throw it out there and it never comes back. It just goes way, it just keeps fucking going. And you're like, that ain't coming back.
It's just going and going. It's following the curvature of the earth, and maybe it will come back around this way. But so this section of people.
Well, no, remember, because they think the earth's flat, so it's just going to keep going.
It's just going to keep going.
Yeah. Right.
So this section of people is about 20 million people. I've looked it up. The Fox News viewership, the maximum viewership is around 20 million people. Rush Limbaugh gets around 17 million people. You got to consider that those are some of the same people. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. And then over here on the far left, you have another 20 million people that are like the far, far, far left, but it's being projected that it's half and half. And it's half of this against half this, but really there's 60% of the people in our country that are in the middle, that are, like you said, they're like, I just want to feed my family. And I've gotten a lot of people who I know for a fact they're not racist people. They're not even Republicans, but they're like, look, dude, I come on social media to try to take a little bit of a break from all the political nonsense. And so they're like, I unfollowed you because I just don't want to see that shit. And you're like a happy deviation from that. And I do think that has a purpose, like we all need to escape. We all need distractions, and we need distractions that aren't political. In my personal life, I feel very engaged with that. I read a lot. I watch a lot on the news. Like I said, I've been donating. A really simple way for people to donate is you can actually switch your Amazon account. If you go to smile.amazon.com, you can have every single Amazon purchase go to Black Lives Matter. And that's something I feel like can help people.
Yeah.
So like when you buy paper towels, it will go to Black Lives Matter. I've struggled with how I should do that on my, on my social media account. And I obviously, when I'm talking, I feel guilty that I'm not doing more. And then I'm also trying to toe this line of like, I just want to post happy content. And I would say the majority of the time in the last 2 months, it just results in me posting nothing. Like I don't post any content. And, I have a lot of friends that are like, dude, you got to start posting again. What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel like right now is the time. And
I thoroughly understand that.
A lot of people are really struggling with this because like creators are constantly told that they have a platform and they need to speak out about these issues. But it's like the people saying that don't have a platform, and they don't know what it means to have a platform, which is such a big statement. Like, what kind of platform are you? Are just activists, and that is their platform, and they're not going to lose followers because that's all they talk about. But like, you would never ask like a very famous puppy's Instagram to like talk about Black Lives Matter. Like, that's not their platform.
You're so right. Yeah, Blocks the Bulldog. Probably.
I mean,
you wouldn't expect that their content would be Black Lives Matter.
Like, I feel like I have seen like a corgi that's very famous on Instagram wear like a Black Lives Matter t-shirt or collar or whatever, and that's fine. That's what their owners want to do. But like, having a platform does not mean that you are obligated to speak out on every issue. And it's also like, I think it boils down to trying to be as authentic as possible. Like in June, when everything kicked off and I was doing a song a day, I was like, I don't feel funny right now, and I don't feel like I should be singing about funny, trivial things. So I'm going to sing about what's going on in the news, and like, it's not going to be funny. I'm going to do a song that explains what ACAB means, and that's not going to be funny, but like, that's what I feel like talking about right now. And now I feel more like we need some comedic relief, and I'm sort of back to what I was doing before, but like, I also feel guilty that I'm not constantly talking about these things. I don't know. It's really hard to figure out, and you just sort of have to feel like what is authentic to what you're saying and what is like performative for the sake of social media.
I agree. Your songs are the perfect way to speak through your art. They are so wonderful. They do address dark content, and the social injustices happening in our society, but you're doing it in such a happy tone, with like the juxtaposition between the tone of your songs and the seriousness of the content is so awesome.
Thank you.
And you found a way to make it humorous. You've found a way to shine a light on the dark with it. I love it. Like
yeah, it's great. It's great.
That's amazing. And Sean, also, like, you know, the tone of your comedy, like when I've seen your posts about this stuff, I'm like, yeah, of course Sean is posting about this. Like you're a very hard-hitting, opinionated, creative person, you know? So like I expected to hear from you about this kinds of stuff. And I feel like anybody that likes your comedy is like, yeah, I want to hear what Sean has to say about this.
You'd be surprised. Well, I mean, like, but also like if you guys are aware of Gaffigans, like some people call it a tirade, some people would call it an outburst. I would call it a fucking I would call it like a what's it called when someone becomes so inspired by pain that they just like I would call it an episode of greatness. But his Twitter last night, he just fucking went off on Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, go to his Twitter if you can still read it. And you can tell he probably lost thousands of followers, and some of them he just responded to like "fuck you," or like this. Yeah, Jim went fucking off last night, but you can tell it's very authentic and it comes from a real place. And he was probably 3 to 4 drinks in, which doesn't take anything away from the message. It just says he was loose enough to be like, fuck it, I'm letting this fly. And you know what? I think that's part of being a comedian or a musician or an artist in general, is every now and again, we're going to have these episodes because we feel the pain too. And sometimes you feel it so strongly, you can't wait for, or you can't just sit back and be like, I got to turn this into a song, or I got to craft this into a well-worded bit that doesn't offend anyone and makes everyone laugh and forget about everything. Sometimes it's like, no, I have this platform and I'm just going to fly off the fucking handle. And if anywhere from 200 to 20,000 of you can't handle it, fuck you, bye. I'll get 200 or 20,000 more of you, or probably more of that down the road, because I'm speaking my mind and being more me, being more legitimate. And that's kind of the world we're in now. Because that's what I was saying too. When I've engaged with some of these dipshits who I thought were dipshits, actually, I don't want to call them dipshits, people who've come at me, you know, a couple months back, who are just like, why are you posting about this shit? Why are you, why are you just blindly following? You don't believe this is all about brutality. And then you just ask them questions where you're like, do you think it's okay that black people are being murdered by police? And they're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, me neither. And then you're like, do you think it's okay that at the time, you know, Trump was trying to order the National Guard to go to every fucking city that had anything even resembling an outburst to quelch the American voice? And he's like, no, I don't believe that at all. And then he realized, like, oh, we believe the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just think that because I've been to protests, or because I support people going to protests, that I am, and I support people burning down businesses and rioting and looting, when you realize, like, no, those people aren't part of the movement. Those motherfuckers are instigators showing up to create chaos. And yeah, some of them probably are in a way tied to the left or the right, but a lot of them are just anarchists who don't give a fuck about Black lives, who don't give a fuck about anything. They just want to start shit, and nobody supports them. Fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, and even, I don't know, like...
But communication is my point. As long as you can, and I'm cutting you off to say that. That's the best part. I'm cutting you off to go, communication is the
communication.
Key. But that's what I mean. It's like, you communicate. If we all communicated, we'd realize, like you said, the 20% on the left, 20% on the right, 60% in the middle. In reality, it's probably only 4% on the left, 4% on the right, and the other 92% of us we kind of want the same thing. Yeah, maybe I don't side with your religious beliefs. Maybe you don't side with my acceptance of everyone. Fine. But we both want happiness, peace, and equality for everyone. And we'll just go our separate ways when we don't see eye to eye on something. But it doesn't have to turn into us, you versus me, you know? Them versus us, fucking Trump versus Biden. Fuck all of it. We are being purposefully pitted against one another by the powers that be. That's what I think.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, it's important that I just pulled up Gaffigan's Twitter. This is going to be my high tech version of this, but so I mean, Gaffigan literally goes from like, "Hey everybody, it's National Dog Day," to
Yeah,
like the next tweet is like "Fuck you, Trump."
yeah. Wait, do Jim again? Do that accent again. That was a pretty good gap again.
Hey, it's National Dog Day. What's the deal with dog food? Are you and then it goes to here. Hold on. R.I.P. Truth.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P. Truth. Well, Jim has been. It's been his political beliefs have been widely speculated, and people have said, because he's an outspoken Christian, and people have basically speculated that he's someone who is on the right. So
Yeah.
if someone who's been speculated to be on the right, which is a rarity in terms of comedians, is speaking out this hard against Trump, I think that lends itself to your point that it's not really 20% of the Fox News people. I think that, yeah, I think that there are 16 million of those 20 million Fox News people that at this point are going, "Hey man, enough is enough." We're like, they might have Republican values and beliefs, but I think that Trump steps far outside of that. And Trump's, I don't even know what to call it. Trump's administration, it just goes.
Oh, I know what to call it. They're his kids, his family. They're people who have no desire to challenge him or question anything he's doing because they're fucking related to him. And I forget. I think Gaffigan pointed this out in his tweet, fucking, and in his poetic his lemonade. We'll call it
his lemonade.
We'll call his. I was going to say his trapped in the closet, but that's not what I want to say. But you remember, but like his in his tirade there, it's like everyone wants to attack coastal elites that are on Trump's side.
Uh-huh.
Gaffigan did say, but Donald Trump himself is a coastal elite.
Yeah,
his entire family are coastal elites. Like it pains me that like America, like everyone who supports Trump keeps forgetting the motherfucker grew up in New York City, wealthier than any of us. Anybody who is open-minded and categorizes himself as a liberal or went to a liberal arts college or any of that, like wealth that most people will never see ever, especially in today's world. And like that guy's never known. Like I follow a lot of military on Twitter just because it's interesting to see where they stand. And there are a lot of Marines which is the only branch of the military that the president can activate without consent of Congress. It's the only one, like he can order them into foreign, they're the president's army basically. And they all hate him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Marines are like, fuck this dude. He ain't shit. He mocks us. He mocks prisoners of war. He mocks fucking troops. There's footage of him from 20 years ago talking shit about troops, and it's like they hate him, And anyway, point being, it's like people forget that Donald Trump is that sort of mutated version of what a coastal elite is in the minds of every Trump supporter. Donald Trump actually is that, whereas 95% of what you consider coastal elites are not that at all. You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense, or am I just rambling?
It makes total sense, but I mean that goes along the lines of almost everything that Trump does. He will say, "I don't like this group of people," and then he goes and is one of those people. He'll be like, "I don't like Hillary. I don't like liars. I don't like liars lying Hillary Clinton," and then he just lies all day long. So
it's like,
wait, what's that? Caitlin, say that last part again.
All projection. Like everything that he's accused the other side of, he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's insanity, and it's time for it to stop.
It's a good tactic, though. Like he accuses them of doing it first before it's revealed that he has done it himself, and then they're like, okay, well, then we're all on a level playing field here. because everyone's this sad. It's a smart tactic, and I don't think that he is a smart person, but it's worked for him his entire life. So
Yeah.
How the fuck is he still alive as a human being? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like he's some spry. Even for a politician, he's old. You know, everyone points out how old Bernie is and how old Biden is. It's like Trump's 74, and he doesn't look like he's ever been in shape.
Yeah. It's crazy too, and then he always has those doctor visits that he releases the results of, and the doctor's always saying that he's in perfect health, and he has the body of a 30-year-old. That's kind of stuff.
A 30-year-old sperm whale. He has the body of a 30-year-old sperm whale.
Yeah.
I feel like those like doctor reports feel like the most like Putin-esque dictator thing to do, because that's what dictators do. Is they're constantly lying about their health. They're constantly like, no, I'm totally fine. I was just on vacation, when they're like actually in the hospital. Like, ugh, that stuff is so great.
Like how Kim Jong-un, he still claims to this day that he doesn't use the restroom, that he has such a brilliant body that it actually just absorbs the poop, and then he like breathes it out. The molecules just magically disappear. I mean, that's kind of what Trump is doing with his health reports. It's nuts. I mean, I just think that it's time for grown-ups to run the country. You know, in every way. That at the most base level of it, Trump is childish, and you know, you could literally have a child read transcripts of everything that he says, and you'd go, yeah, that's the voice of a child. And it's, you know, I'm not a parent. You guys don't have kids, but I go visit my friends that have kids, and their kid will just be yelling insane shit over in the corner, and they're like, look, you're in timeout, you're grounded. And you just can't take seriously the stuff that a child shouts at you. But the difference here is that Trump is the president of the United States, so people have to take what he says seriously. You know, and that's dangerous. I just saw a news story the other day where she actually spoke at the Democratic National Convention. She was somebody who Trump's her father died of COVID, and she essentially said, Trump is the president of the United States, and my father takes what he says very seriously. Trump said that COVID is not a big deal at all, and we shouldn't be worried. So he operated like it wasn't a big deal at all. And he went out in the world and he caught COVID. And granted, it's his responsibility to do one Google search to find out that it actually is a big deal and that Trump is wrong.
No, because Trump says that all these sites are lying. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He attacks all the information sources too. But yeah, go ahead.
But this person trusted Trump, who is a childish child who shouldn't be speaking on the platform of the president of the United States. But instead, this man trusted him. And then he went out and got COVID. And on his deathbed, he said, I can't believe that I trusted Donald Trump. And this daughter of this man spoke at the Democratic National Convention. And I mean, that's just one of many examples of people who really trust him. That's the crazy part.
Lori Kilmartin's mom is an example of this. And like Lori has amazing jokes about it, but like I heard her talking about it on the podcast recently, where she was like, one of my biggest like regrets or moments that I'll never have is my mom admitting that she was wrong to trust Trump because she was already in a coma. And like,
I mean, that's awful. Poor Lori. But also like, that's why I hate the idea that there's a Democratic National Convention and a Republican National Convention, because the people who need to hear that aren't the Democrats. It's the fucking Republicans. It's the Trump supporters are the ones who need to hear that. But by the time it gets to them, it's been criticized. It's been framed in a context. It's been edited in a way where it's like, this is bullshit or a lie. Like, there should just be one national convention every year.
Mm-hmm.
One, where both sides have to listen to the other speakers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the big fucking issue. It's like, I really hate that shit. That, like, the fact that there's only two goddamn sides and it's like choose one or choose the other. It's like it's I hate it.
Terrible rabbit hole.
What?
I used to call it, before Trump got elected, I used to call it the Trump trapdoor, where any conversation, somehow he was brought up and then the conversation would just fall down the pit of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're at. And I'm fine to talk about this more, but also we should do the story.
Yeah, that's almost like you know that theory that they say that every online argument in the comments section is 9 comments away from involving Hitler. Like
yeah.
they say by 9, like statistically speaking, they will bring up Hitler by 9 comments.
So that's all of my comment sections.
Yeah. There's some real anti-Semitic pieces of shit out there. Let's just say that. And there's some real fucking dumb dipshit, don't actually read the comments, only exist to hate sad sacks out there. And I hope you all seek help, but I fucking hate you. Yeah. And I think it's okay to say that. It's like, I fucking hate all you anti-Semitic fucks. I hate you all, but I hope you seek help. You know what I mean? Like,
I just feel bad for them because it's so clear that they've just like never met a Jew in real life. And I'm like, Jews are funny. Like, we're cool people, but also like it just means that I feel sad for you because you're in your bubble and you just don't know any better. That's sad.
Yeah. It's I mean, they're carrying around hate that's only hurting them, and they think that their hatred is hurting other people. Also, another charity that we donate to is the Anti-Defamation League. We got to go to their big dinner this last year. Before it was pre-COVID. Our friend Michael Yo was the host of it, and so he invited us to it, and we got to go sit with him, and we were like spitballing jokes that he could do, which performing for that audience to do jokes, they really got to be like right down the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Like you gotta, there requires some finesse, but he crushed at the event, and ever since then we've been involved. But yeah, I don't even understand people who are anti-Semitic. And
well, it's people who've never. It's a lot of it's people who've never left wherever they grew up. They never leave the hometown. Because I've gotten in those arguments on Facebook with people I went to fucking high school with. I remember this one girl I went to high school with, who I won't say her name because whatever. But like, we got in an argument, and she was calling me a pretentious asshole because I was pointing out how, like, of everyone on that in the argument, I was the only one who'd ever left Slidell, Louisiana, right? And she was like, I've lived in like Hanover. Hanover, Connecticut, and Mobile, Alabama. Okay, I've been out there too, and it's like, no, you haven't. No, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know which country does this. It might not be any country, but the idea that after high school, college is supposed to be this mind-opening, idea expanding experience, and that's not what it is anymore. It's bullshit. It's a business. It's a scam. College is a brilliant business model. But B, like, when people go from Slidell, Louisiana to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for college, 90 minutes away, that's not a cultural experience. But I feel like there's a country where it's like when you graduate high school, there's a 2-year period where
it's called required military service.
Yeah, I know. No, but what is that? Israel, right? Israel does that?
A lot of countries have this.
Greece does it.
In America, the option is the Peace Corps.
Okay, maybe not military service, but yes, the idea where it's like you have 2 years where you have to join this, and every few months you're in a different city, helping people out, doing acts of community service, also being young, being dumb, getting laid. What?
Yeah, that's exactly what required military service is for almost everyone. Like in Israel, there's only a small group of people that are then like trained to be high operatives. Like most people, it's just community service.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you travel and you see and you meet other people and you actually, because you're talking about anti-Semites, or they've just never met a Jewish people. I feel like most people who hate any group just have never fucking met enough people of that group.
It's all ignorance. I'm more curious about the people, like I get that people are ignorant if they haven't left, but I'm more curious about the people that then take the time to leave hate comments. Who are these people?
People have nothing in their life. They have nothing else in their life.
Yeah,
but they're hateful.
They're leaving hate comments, and then they're going back to check those hate comments to see if anybody read it. I mean, I think that's an interesting phenomenon that almost anybody that is writing any type of a comment or a blog for whichever side that they believe in, it's so vain that they write the comment for their beliefs and then they're going back to refresh and check and see if they got any attention out of it.
Yeah.
So disgusting.
I mean, and that's like whenever someone says, like you're saying, people who are like, when it's like stick to, okay, comedian, stick to comedy. You're like, okay, and if by that rationale, then you stick to talking about your fucking real estate license, because it's the same. You know what I'm saying? It's like they get mad at us because they think it's like your only job is to make people laugh. It's like, and your only job is to flip fucking condos. So don't. So if you want to go by that fucking logic, fuck you. Like it's we should all be able to do what we do and also have opinions that sometimes just come from a real place. Speaking of real place, Caitlin is right. Time-wise, we do have to move on to the story. But Pete's words here, Pete, your words that you sent me for your story are moped, nutsack, stitches, gym, pedophile. Those are your 5 words.
Yeah.
Caitlin, you mind if I take this one?
I'll start it off, and then you go for it, okay?
Okay, I mean, because this is a
Start
very...
off with one sentence, and then you go for it. And that one is, Pete was once a professional moped racer.
This is a little known fact about Pete Lee. Growing up in Wisconsin, he was his first ever of his many accomplishments. His first ever was he was an international moped racing champion. Right, did this for years and years, made hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and eventually aged out of it because it's a young man's sport. Everyone knows this, right? But Pete, being the good-natured human being that you are, was like, hey, I've developed this amazing skill, moped. My moped driving ability is second to none. And you want to use it. You're like, I want to use this for good. And so you start thinking, like, how can I help people just on a real, homegrown basis? Hey, you know what most people need in their life? Fiber. How do they get fiber? Nuts. People aren't eating enough nuts. So you got a big sack of nuts, your nut sack, put it on the back of that moped, and you drove around your small town in Wisconsin just giving out nuts to strangers, to the less fortunate. Almonds, macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts. You had them all. Homeless people. You started giving nuts out to homeless people, thinking you're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. What you didn't think about, and what a lot of us wouldn't have thought about back then, Pete, you're not guilty here, was that these homeless people also have nut allergies as well. So now they're dropping like flies in your hometown, and and you realize it all comes back to your act of kindness. You're like, I didn't know, and you felt so guilty one day that you just drove your moped right off a cliff. You're like, you wanted to end it all. Luckily for you, there aren't that many high cliffs in rural Wisconsin. But the fall was bad enough to where you needed stitches, thousands of stitches. And the only part of your body that was unharmed by this accident was your testicles, was your nutsack. So they grafted your nutsack around your whole body. And this is a secret most people don't know about Pete. It's why you're such an alluring guy to look at, why you're so beautiful just to the eye, is your entire skin is actually, all of it, all of your epidermis is actually just ball skin. That's why you look so youthful and so tender all the time. After this experience, you were inspired. You're like, no, I need to still do good, and I got to start with myself. I got to treat myself right. So you start hitting the goddamn gym, putting up them weights, doing them calisthenics, and then you start noticing this one guy following you around, being like, hey, man, you need a spot? And you're like, spot? I'm on the goddamn treadmill. Why would you want to spot me here? And this dude just wouldn't leave you alone, and you, with your investigative mind, realized, oh, this guy thinks I'm way younger because of my nutsack skin. He's clearly a pedophile. And you helped oust this guy to officials in Wisconsin. They took him down. And it ultimately ended up doing an act of good, making this gym safer for all the fucking kids that worked out there. Also, it was a Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my God.
So this is that's the story we think.
First of all, I don't even have to tell the real version of the story because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's exactly why I have such a youthful glow. I'm starting to get gray hairs right here that are coming through my nutsack skin. So it's the first thing that's really making me look old. But
even pubes start to
yeah,
go gray,
yeah, my nutsack skin was actually replaced with nutsack skin, so it's very youthful.
Right. I mean, people don't realize Pete is 94 years old.
I'm 94 years old. It's
Looks
just
like he's late 30s, 94.
Yeah, I have the smoothest skin. That was amazing. That
well, I get, it's going to be more amazing. I bet the real actual story. So what?
So the real actual story was, so when I was a little kid, I forget what age. No, I was in 6th grade, and I know this because it was the weekend, and I was in the first class of kids that got to go up to middle school in 6th grade. So we couldn't flunk out of middle school. But
Wait,
so
like a social promotion kind of
they basically made within our school board, they said, since 6th graders have never gone to middle school before, and this is a big experiment, they can't flunk out. So at the time, I was on my way to becoming a sponsored skateboarder. So I was like, well, screw this. I'm not going to do homework anymore. I'm just
Wait,
going
I got to press pause on this. You were going to be a sponsored skateboarder?
Sponsored skateboarder, yeah. So in 7th grade, I got sponsored by Alva Skateboards and Vision Streetwear, which Alva turned into New School Skateboards. So I was a pretty accomplished skateboarder, and I competed in NSA Nationals and had sponsors. So I guess this does tie into this because I was like a little daredevil. Like like physical. Like I might have been afraid socially when I was a little kid, but physical harm did not scare me whatsoever. So it was the weekend. I was enrolled at St. Paul's Lutheran School, and so my brother had his girlfriend over, and she parked her moped out in front of our place. So I decided, hey, they're in my brother's room making out. I'm gonna take the keys are in this moped. I'm gonna take this moped for a joyride. Well, I wasn't even tall enough for my feet to touch the pedals of the moped, so I started up, and I have one foot on our front porch so that I can basically steady it, and then I floor it and go taking off up the hill into the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
So I realized that while I'm on this journey, because my feet can't touch the pedals, I can't stop, right? So I start going around this corner, and I start to lose control of the moped. I swerve, I hit this curb, my body goes up and actually hits the rear view mirror, or the how they have the side mirrors that are the rear view mirrors.
Yeah.
My nutsack hits the rear view mirror and shatters it. So my nuts shattered a mirror. That's how hard I hit it. So, and I'm in like little Umbro shorts with boxers underneath them. You remember like the thin Umbro shorts? So, I like kind of come to in this lawn, and the moped wheel is still spinning, and I look down at my Umbro shorts, and they're sliced, and I'm just bleeding all over the place. Like I'm bleeding from the nutsack.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So immediately, as a kid that just stole a moped and took it up the street, I was worried about the repercussions, like, oh, I'm going to get caught. So I didn't want to get caught. I wasn't even worried about my nuts at that point. So I get on the moped. Somehow I like run to get it going, and I jump up onto the seat with injured nutsack. I ride it back home. I take towels and I wipe off all the blood, which while I'm doing that, I'm creating more blood on the sidewalk. So I'm trying to wipe the sidewalk with blood. So I park the moped. The moped's all dinged up and just like half destroyed. So then I'm like, I gotta fix this up. So I go into our bathroom and I try to find like any Band-Aids or whatever. I end up wrapping paper towels around my junk. And then the only way that I could go get supplies was to go up to Kohl's grocery store and go get, I was like, I just need to go get Band-Aids and stuff to clean this out with. So I go to the grocery store, and I'm wrapped up. I put on thicker shorts. So I'm wrapped up in like paper towels so I won't bleed through it. I bike to the store standing up, so because I can't sit down. I bicycle up to the store. I go into the store, I buy those butterfly sutures and then all sorts of, antiseptic ointments and peroxide and whatever. I clean out the wound. I butterfly my stitches shut, or I guess they were like kind of homemade stitches. I butterfly it all shut, and then I just wrap it in gauze and stuff. And that was my plan. I was like, all right, this way I won't get caught for this. My brother's girlfriend, she went outside and she was like, oh my God, somebody stole my moped and crashed it. And there's blood all over the place. And I'm standing there, no blood around, no nothing. And I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know. She's like, did you see anything? I'm like, nope, I didn't see anything. I'm like, man, so we had these neighbors that their last name was the Blazers. And the Lees and the Blazers used to just brawl all the time. And like, we would meet up in Hampshire Park and just kick the crap out of each other. It was like a literal family feud between the Lees and the Blazers. So I was like, must have been the fucking Blazers that came over here and crashed your moped. And so my brother was like, oh, I'm going to kick the Blazers' ass. Meanwhile, it wasn't the Blazers, it was me.
Yeah.
So, fast forward to, nothing really comes of this. Shelly came from a wealthy family. Her parents immediately basically just bought her a new moped. And so I was like, wow, I got away with this. So the next Monday, I was in gym class at St. Paul's Lutheran School, which I had to go to because I was so bad at Marshall Middle School that my mom was like, look, they won't fail him out. So I'm going to have to spend money and send him to a parochial school or they'll actually punish him. So I got shipped off to St. Paul's. So I'm at St. Paul's in gym class, and the gym teacher was like, hey, Lee, why aren't you dressed for basketball today? And I was like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I pulled my hamstring. I can't play. And he's like, well, do you have a note from your parent or do you have a principal's note? And I was like, I don't, I'm really injured and I can't play because I had sutures and my nutsack was wrapped in gauze. And I had been imagine sitting through English class right before that, just going like, oh God, I can't wait for gym class just so I can stand up for a while. So
you're saying imagine sitting in class. I'm like, imagine trying to do anything else while my nutsack is ripped open. The fact that you did anything else, the fact that the story didn't end with you realizing your nuts were ripped open.
Yeah, it was so crazy that I was still in this mode where I didn't want to get caught. That was my main thing, is that I wanted to heal up and I wanted to get better, but I also didn't want to get caught for joyriding the moped. So Mr. Schultz, he had a habit of kind of roughing up kids, and he had like hit kids and all this kind of stuff, where nowadays that would be insane and a teacher would be on CNN for hitting a kid. Back in the day, teachers hit kids all the time, and it just was a thing. And right. So Mr. Schultz was like, into the locker room with you and we're going to have a talk. And I was like, okay, this guy's going to hit me. So we get into the locker room. He shoves me up against the locker. He keeps shoving me against the locker to the point where I had bruises in my back. Wow. By the way, it hurts your nuts so bad to be shoved into a locker when you have butterfly stitches in it.
Yeah, I can.
And he was like, "You're gonna get dressed now. You're gonna do that." And so I just ran out of the locker room. I was like, "I'm not gonna hit him. I'm not gonna get into an altercation with this grown man. I'm gonna run out of the locker room." And I ran to the principal's office, and I talked to Mr. Ebling. And I was like, I just ran in there and I go, Mr. Ebling, Mr. Schultz touched me inappropriately in the locker room. I don't know why that came out of my mouth. I don't know how that came out of my mouth, but I was like, he touched me inappropriately in the locker room. So Mr. Ebling, who's a great man, he's like, oh my God, this is crazy. I go, yeah. And he shoved me against the locker and I showed him my back and I had red marks all over it. And then,
and then he ripped my balls open.
He ripped my balls open, dude. It was crazy. It was similar to a moped injury. It was nuts. So then Mr. Ebling was like, well, what's going on? And I just started crying and I told him the whole story about the moped and the nuts and all this kind of stuff. Next thing I know, my mom is there and I'm telling her the story and just confessing. And my mom's like, that's okay, but we need to take care of this teacher that shoved you, and touched you. So fast forward, there was a whole investigation that was launched into this guy, and all the students started coming forward. And I thought that they were going to talk about how this guy would be physical with them and hit them. It turns out this guy was sexually abusing children. So my statement was the first statement that righted the wrong in this parochial school's this one teacher. This was like the one bad apple in the school. Nobody knew that he was sexually abusing children, and it turns out that he had been sexually abusing children for years, and that all got cracked open and exposed by my lying about it because he shoved me into a locker. So that's the end of that story. And it's pretty, it was a, I mean, that was a crazy school year to have that be the end of the school year.
Yeah, you accidentally
Out.
busted.
I know.
Crazy.
It's crazy, right? And so I always, especially with all the news stories that are coming out now about, someone who's abusing someone, where there's multiple cases of abuse, and then one person is finally brave enough to stand up and speak out. I didn't feel brave at all because it was a lie. But I was actually the first person to speak out and to expose a pedophile when I was a little kid. But
I wonder how often something like that has happened, because usually, like, if you're in a position where you're abused, like, you are then told by that person, like, I'll kill you if you tell anybody, or like they clearly manipulated you in some way. And it's always like the people I feel like that like have been taught proper boundaries or like shut it down at first that are like then brave enough to be like, this is wrong.
mm-hmm.
They know it's wrong. They haven't been fucking brainwashed or manipulated by this crazy person.
Yeah, it's also just daunting legally. Like, what you don't realize is how much people can get away with within the letter of the law, where they will get warnings, they'll get slaps on the wrist. I've been trying not to talk about this, but right now I currently have a stalker issue. And so I'm in the process right now of getting a restraining order. And I originally went to the courthouse to apply for a restraining order, and I was told that I couldn't get one. And the amount of evidence that I had that is so crazy and damning is so off the charts insane. And then I was told that I couldn't get one based upon that evidence. So luckily I didn't officially file it. But so then now I've gathered even more evidence, and now it is to the point where our lawyer is saying this is enough. So all of this has made me empathize with people who might be in those abuse cases, going like, well, what if I go forward? Or sometimes they do go forward and then they're just turned away by police. Like, in the last 3 weeks, we felt very turned away by police. And it's crazy how, like, this person, we keep throwing this person in jail, this person keeps returning. Right now there's like $0 bail within COVID. And then this person just gets out and does some of the most crazy, threatening, dangerous behavior. And he gets put on 5150 psych holds. He comes back. And so I couldn't even imagine if I was, this is the victim of stalking, harassment, and threats. I couldn't even imagine if I was a rape victim, having to go through the trauma of that, on top of the idea that you could report someone, it wouldn't be taken seriously, and then they're back in your face, hours later after the police take them away and they just come back. I've never empathized more with victims of stalking, rape, pedophilia, more than having to deal with this, which isn't even close to that,
Yeah, it's truly, truly horrific. And it's like, I feel like that is the next conversation, as like hopefully we see some more progress with Black Lives Matter, but like we're talking a ton about police brutality and police like systemic racism and everything, but like the next conversation is like there's all these talks about like why you shouldn't defund the police and how much they go into help. They don't help. They don't help women. They don't help victims of like actual stalking and abuse. And like that is the next conversation that needs to be had, because it's a broken system in that way too.
Yeah, I'm a huge. I mean, like lately I felt very grateful for the police in a lot of ways, because there have been times where he's been physically threatening us, and then we're able to call the police and they intervene. And so like I feel like my life has been saved lately by police. But I do think that there needs to be great police reform. I think that there needs to be a restructuring of parts of the justice system. It's insane how how crazy and skewed it is,
yeah.
and it really is skewed towards the rich. This person that's doing this to me is very wealthy, and it's skewed in his favor. And every time his dad is able to just bail him out, and it's really scary. Like we feel so scared that we can't sleep at night. And I know that this is like a fun comedy podcast, but like it's like we're fucking terrified, and the justice system is just like, we'll let him out.
I mean, is he? So he's really pissed that you accidentally got him busted when you were in 6th grade.
Yeah, that's this guy.
he's really upset. He fucking found you.
And he's back. He migrated to California, and I'll off the air. I'll tell you guys more about that situation. Our lawyer. I talked to our lawyer, and I said, can I talk about this stuff publicly? And he's like, the danger that you come in. He goes, it doesn't really affect our case because you have so many pieces of video evidence. But he goes, the problem is that when you talk about having a menacing stalker, he goes, you start to sound crazy, and that. I think think about the victims of other crimes. Other people don't want to speak out about the things that happen to them because they don't want to sound crazy. So I don't know.
I don't know if you saw I posted on Instagram like last week, but I posted about this because when I first started getting all these like hate comments and death threats over one of my just silly songs, I knew that the tactic was to be quiet. Like, you don't give them any validation, otherwise they'll keep coming back. So you just lay low, you keep doing what you normally do, and then they eventually go away. And that is what I did. But for this particular instance, which happened a week ago, the hate comments have mostly died down, and then I got a random person that commented like really terrible shit and had created from an account that they created called Caitlin Cook Slayer, that they had photoshopped like a bullet through my head.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And that was like particularly disturbing, but also like, who the fuck takes the time to do this shit? And then when I reported it to Instagram, they didn't remove the account and said it didn't violate their community guidelines. So I was like, okay, in this instance, I feel like I'm going to post about it because like everyone lays low, which means no one talks about this online because people don't want to give validation to this kind of like cyber stalking, bullying, harassment. But at the same time, like, we need to raise awareness about this because the platforms that are supposed to protect us, their community guidelines are bullshit. Like, people are not talking about this enough. So I do think, there's like that fine line of like not wanting to appear crazy, but also wanting to raise awareness that this is like a big issue for anyone that's trying to be somewhat of a public figure.
Yeah, and it's more prevalent nowadays where people have more access to you. Back in the day, they would have to, I guess, write a letter and put a stamp on it, and send
you a rag they just jerked off into.
Yeah, and now they can just go onto their phone mobily and shoot you off something crazy, or even that thing with the Photoshop bullet in your head that could be done from a phone. That could be done. While someone's sitting at a park bench. It's crazy how scary and capable people can be nowadays.
Yeah, it is. I love the idea. None of this, but like the idea of like a bodyguard, like the Whitney Houston film The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner. That, but like instead of Whitney Houston, it's you, Pete Lee. and your body, you fall in love with your bodyguard, but also I just like. Because that movie, it's just all this like her singing in the background, all these beautiful songs. I like the idea of just like, and then like, but then like Kevin Costner's hunting for the stalker while you're hearing her sing. I love the same thing, just like someone hunting for your stalker, but in the background, just like, guys, I don't know, I didn't grow up in a tough neighborhood. People, but that's the
yeah, you guys. I feel so bad that this guy's stalking me in COVID, because what if he gets COVID? You know, like, don't get too close, 6 feet away, fella.
Yeah.
That's what I would be like in that movie.
I would watch the shit out of that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Fuck that guy and fuck stalkers, and I hope you guys are all right. Where can
I think we're very close to having the situation underhand, and
it's funny because the second time I do this, I'm like, fuck stalkers. Anyway, Pete, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me.
Listen, people need their privacy, and stalking them online is bullshit, and that needs to be stopped. Now, Pete, where can people follow you and your every move?
Well, a common place that people have been finding me lately is outside my bedroom window.
Boom, that's a great site.
If you want to follow me on Instagram, please follow me at Peatly. You can follow me on TikTok at Peatly. I'm on Twitter at Peatly Tweets. You can go to my website for tour dates that are non-existent at peatly.com or actually at peatly.net. If you want to buy merch of mine, you can go to snugglestorm.net, or if you're just like super wealthy and somehow not hemorrhaging money in COVID, you can Venmo me at PeteAF.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right, sweet.
Yeah, boom.
Check out Pete. Pete's one of the best. Check out his multiple appearances on Late Night on Fallon. He's just one of the funniest, sweetest. You're like a gobstopper. Just want to you're like a gobstopper. Just people just want to suck on you. Yeah, and I hope you never go away.
Oh yeah, I'm like a gobstopper, you know, because I'm sweet on the outside, but very hard on the inside, and I'll hurt your teeth, you know.
Don't bite.
Oh God.
Like substance on the inside,
yeah. Don't bite into me, but just keep me in your mouth for your entire life. Hey, thank you, Pete. Thank you so much for coming on.
You guys, thank you so much for having me on. I miss both of you so much.
Well, our paths shall cross again.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Later.
Bye, guys.
Please be more creative with your hate comments. It's so boring to read the same lame lines. If you wanted to hurt me, you massively failed. But you could at least try to entertain us. If not me, then the other commenters. Go after my looks, go after my weight, go after my voice, go after my perfect piano playing. I don't care, you clearly do. So a little bit of constructive criticism. Please be more creative with your hate comments. Tell me your favorite hate comment that you've ever received in the comments, or if you're going to leave a hate comment on this video, beware, I will rate them.